Alrighty, well, a very, very good morning and a happy Monday to you guys. January 23rd, 2022. What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Throwing right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. If you guys are tuning us into the YouTube channel, we thank you. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and don't forget to press those notifications. Stay tuned with all the sports and all the updates. If you guys are tuning us into maybe downloading us, you guys are taking us to work, and you guys are listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. Thank you. Welcome in. Good morning. We're back to our regular program now. A lot has happened over this past, 5 days, and I'll explain to you all what's going on. So, I think, all right, I guess I'm just double checking all my sources before I get done recording. All right. So, we were supposed to do an episode last Thursday, and, excuse me for a second. We were supposed to do an episode last Thursday live. What ended up happening is I woke up with some what they call Charlie horses, which are, I guess, calf muscle spasms. Muscle spasm in your calf. And so when I woke up Thursday morning, I woke up with one on both legs. And they lasted probably about a solid 30, 40 minutes. And I was just excruciating pain that I was under. So I did not do an episode live on Thursday. What I ended up doing was that I did a recording for Thursday. And so the initial goal was, because I was going to be busy Friday, was to do a recording, was to do a live show Thursday and do a recording Thursday night for Friday morning. But because I didn't do a live show Thursday, I did a recording for Thursday, and I just never got a chance to get back around to doing a recording for Friday. And then the weekend came and all that, fun stuff happened. Friday was kind of a little bit busy for me because I had, I wasn't going to do a show because I had, the pro dad's breakfast things with my daughters at the elementary school. Both my daughters got a chance Friday morning to take my daughters to their elementary school to enjoy some breakfast. They had donuts and Chick-fil-A biscuit, the biscuit sandwiches, which I really enjoyed. And then afterwards, I had a couple doctor's appointments that I needed to attend to. And so that was my initial plans for the day. And then I got back in the afternoon and had to do a couple other things. So there was just no way that I was able to get to a program on Friday. So I'm a little disappointed with how the week ended. I really, I take a lot of pride and a lot of, acknowledgement to trying to get these episodes done with, in and out, trying to get them on board and everything. And when you don't get a chance to finish off a strong week, and it was a weird week for me, as initially, I think it was just, it really just lacklustered everything that went on. So, hey, we're back on the, and then, you went into Saturday, we weren't expecting, snow or anything like that. We got a chance to went out and do what we had to do around that, place, get the, grocery shopping done, paid a couple bills. Sunday comes and it starts snowing. It's a lot earlier than we expected it to be. and that was a hassle as well. So it's just a crazy weekend, I think. In all, I know I guess I started losing it at some point. When for me, when it hits cold and it hits hot, and especially this year, I've noticed that I I guess I mentally, like, I get headaches. I start really not feeling good, even with the heater on. I mean, there's just anything and everything that just hits me at once with these weathers. So, plus, I know over the weekend, throughout the last week, we're starting to have some recording issues. So, the programs of last week's were a little different than what we normally put on, because I was doing a rapid fire interview cases for the upcoming play Love's Not Enough, presented by Enlightened Studios, that were featured last week, or last over the past weekend. So if you guys got a chance to go out there, thanks to this show and thanks to us promoting it, we thank you. We appreciate it. I'm hoping to hear back from Terry about exactly how it went down. I'm excited to see, to hear the results. Um, like I said, they're hoping. Okay, the goal was to give them a platform to express, for the cast members to express themselves, talk about the upcoming play, and kind of give them that spotlight beyond just, hey, this is a theater play, come out and see them. They'll be performing. This is a little bit more than just that. So we got all that stuff done. I wasn't really ready or anticipated for the amount of for how the game, how the interviews went. They took up a lot of the program, which I anticipated, but I didn't quite anticipate to a certain level or a certain degree. So we are back on the schedule. We are back on our normal routines, and we have although we had a busy weekend, we have a busy week ahead of us, because we get ready for two things this weekend. We get ready for the championship games, the four final teams, before we get, know, all right, who are we looking at for the Super Bowl? And we'll definitely have our shares of conversations. But we also start looking into the Royal Rumble, which will be premiered this Saturday, available on Peacock. And that's going to be a huge, that's going to be the beginning of the road to WrestleMania. I mentioned this before, and I haven't really gotten a chance to really sit down for days on end and really just explore the options. There's rumors out there, and then there's about matches that could happen. And on top of the rumors, what we do know is that come Saturday night, right, we will know at least two half matches that will take place at WrestleMania this year, right? Because we will know the winner of the men's and the winner of the women's Royal Rumble match, and they will go on. The women's gets to choose between the Raw or SmackDown, and then you have the men, who I think will have punched his one-way ticket to Roman Reigns. So, we're going to start kind of throwing out ideas. I want to hear from you guys about who we think the, winners could possibly be, because at this moment, I have absolutely no clue. Now, let's acknowledge last week we had Brock Lesnar, we have Ronda Rousey, and both females lost their Royal Rumble matches. So hopefully the WWE has a new direction. And I think there's a lot of questions about how they're going to present, and who's that next person to step up for Roman Reigns. That's my big thing. So we'll have a chance to talk a little bit about that. What we also want to start relaying at this time is that this is the road to WrestleMania, you guys. You could start speculating, and maybe there's speculations of a few matches that is to take place, but until we see them officially announcing those matches, then you are kind of concerned. All right, you got 3 months away. You got to figure out, or 2 months pretty much at this moment. You got to figure out exactly who you are wanting to, who is main eventing, especially since that there's 2 nights of WrestleMania. You right? There's 2 nights of WrestleMania, and we have no idea. Besides the 2 matches that will kind of be foreshadowed coming up this weekend, we don't have any idea of how the match cards are going to take place. So we'll start paying attention to that. A big event coming up as Raw celebrates its 30-year anniversary. So we'll talk about that fun stuff. And boy, what type of football games did you guys catch this weekend, man? I mean, excuse me, my throat's a little dry, but I mean, listen, the Bengals and the Bills. Okay. So let me rephrase this, and let me kind of phrase this in the a way that I can phrase it for you guys. You have. I thought that at the beginning of the week it would start working its way up, and every game would get better and better and better. And I think, listen, yesterday's games, both the Bills and the Bengals, and then also the Cowboys and the 49ers, they did not disappoint. I think you say those better games for last. And, you're kind of, wishy-washy when it came down to things that happened with, over against the Giants and Eagles. So, I mean, I wasn't disappointed on Saturday. It kind of expected it, but Sunday was really where the divisional matchups took place and really took effect. And I really enjoyed the most. Got a chance to watch the Bengals and Bills game. It was a different atmosphere, knowing that we got snow about 12 hours prior to that, and that jumped over to New York, and it snowed, and that was terrifying to watch because I got a chance to watch the game, and whenever you have a different weather atmosphere, you really just don't know what is, I guess, what is given or what type of team. But a lot of I didn't quite expect the perfect return from matchup with Joe Burrow. That offensive line, that was very concerning. Getting into the game, I was petrified to see how well the offensive line for the Bengals, but they dominated. They clearly dominated the Bills, and we'll talk about that coming up here on a little bit in our program. All right, we're just getting underway on a Monday. Listen, there's probably a lot of news I could get into. I'll get into the local news and all that fun stuff, but I think it's time that we take a break. We step aside, we get our heads right here on a Monday, and we come back and we start talking about the NFL games that have transpired and how we're down to 4 games. So if you guys are listening to us on YouTube, once again, I say thank you. Welcome. And if you guys are listening to us on audio streaming platforms, we want to welcome. Hit that download button. Don't miss a single episode. And let's have a great week this week. Getting ready for the Royal Rumble and the AFC NFC Championship Conference Championship matches up. We'll coming up to you next. Stay tuned. Don't hit that dial right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. Go, laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha.
Alrighty, welcome back to the throw-in here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. We'd like to give a big shout out to StreamYard Studios, the proud home of the throw-in. StreamYard Studios, where you can create podcasts, videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews. Check out their free version today at StreamYard.com. All guests on our show is provided by StreamYard.com. Moving forward, check out their free version today. Like I said last week, we did a whole bunch of interviews on the upcoming play Love's Not Enough. And it was, I'm waiting to hear back how it was. So I hopefully give you some updates here shortly and how the play unfolded, unraveled, and how the production went. But we're back on our regular programming moving forward, and that means although we may not be live this moment today, we'll be live hopefully coming up later on this week. Okay, so we'll get to you getting back up in that swing of things. It take a little while. And listen, I don't know about you. I surely had a blast watching a lot of football games this weekend. Kicked off on Saturday with the Jaguars and Chiefs, and we'll talk plenty about that. But I really want to get ourselves in the conversation of how the NFC divisional games went so far. Okay. Divisional games will kick off for the first game one between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles, where the Eagles and Jalen Hurts just dominated Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. I believed in the Giants. I believed in Daniel Jones, and I believed in Saquon Barkley, and I told you guys I was a little disappointed because I didn't see that breakout in the postseason between Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones that we expected them to see. They didn't have the game against Minnesota, and they surely didn't have the game against Philadelphia. I expected them to, but they didn't. Okay. Now, the other downfall I had with the New York Giants was probably the only concerns that the New York Giant fans had heading into this game. And that was Brian DeBall and Wink Martindale trying to figure out exactly how to put together a defense to stop Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts was on top of his game. 16 for 24, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns in the game. Saquon Barkley, as I mentioned for the Giants, didn't do nothing. 9 receptions and 61 yards. Compared to Kenneth Gainesville's 12 carries and 112 yards with 1 touchdown. You also had Miles Sanders that went 17 carries but put up 90 yards. Devontae Smith, 6 receptions, 61 yards, a touchdown, along with Dallas Goedert, 58-yard receptions, yards, and 1 touchdown. The New York Giants obviously didn't show up. And I don't know if you want to blame Daniel Jones, who only threw 135 yards, or if you want to blame Brian DeBall and you want to blame Wink Martindale for the failure. Now, here's also the other note that we could put out there, because it wasn't just the New York Giants. Okay, coming into this game, the concern was for Jalen Hurts. The concern was that he wasn't healthy enough. They've been posting this out for a couple weeks now, and he wasn't necessarily ready to go. And he comes back and he looks like an MVP caliber star. He looks like a guy who is now ready to face the 49ers. 2 weeks ago, I would have sat here and told you that the 49ers is still having the best shot. And I still believe that San Francisco has the better opportunity to go back to the Super Bowl. But now, with the performance that Philadelphia's given back on Sunday night, I question to you, is there a possibility that now this game is going to be from, that's going to be good to great? And coming up this Sunday in the NFC Conference Championship game where the 49ers, and we'll talk about the Niners here in a moment, and Philadelphia, it's going to be, probably one of the better games that we're seeing all postseason, especially out of the, especially out of the NFC. The Eagles just outperformed time of possession, first down, 10 for 14 in third down conversions, practically doubled their total yards, 227 to 416, doubled the rushing, 118 to 268, and red zone conversion, 4 for 5. Now, if anything shows is that this is a playoff team. Like I mentioned, the Eagles coming into the playoffs to me looked like they had a lot of flaws, looked like they needed some help in the postseason. And the performance against the Giants on Saturday cleared out all that up for me. And it's kind of now difficult to choose between the 49ers and the Eagles come the NFC conference. For the Giants, okay, there's an unclear future for Daniel Jones. Listen, no team, I don't think the Giants fan base, nonetheless any other team in the NFL at the beginning of the season expected the Giants to be where they were at today. And I think that's a lot to be said. I don't want the Giants to stop improving. And I think that if a contract is for Daniel Jones, that's what is need to seal the deal. I honestly believe that you found your franchise quarterback. I honestly believe that the Giants found Daniel Jones as their franchise quarterback and that they need to seal him up. This draft class is not a strong draft class for quarterbacks this year. One of my concerns is that listen, you could go pick up a quarterback in the 4th, 5th, 6th rounds and use them as a backup quarterback. But you are not picking up, there's especially the position where the Giants are going to be in. You ain't picking a quarterback as a starting, spot. Daniel Jones picked a couple years in New York. He has worked his way into becoming a trusting, loyal starter. Yes, given the 15 for 37 passing completions in the game, 135 yards. This is the first time that you saw Daniel Jones and the Giants in the postseason. I think this is a learning ability. I think you need to lock Daniel Jones as your franchise quarterback at least for 5 years. Start building, continue to build around him and see what happens. It doesn't hurt. Okay, don't give up on Daniel Jones, yet. Because the Giants have done something that the Giants haven't been able to do in quite some time. Take a look now at Dallas and San Francisco, where San Francisco took care of business against Dallas. 19-12 was a pretty ugly game. Excuse me. 19-12 was a pretty ugly game, if you ask me, between the Cowboys and the Giants. I'm not saying that it's not a good game. I wasn't saying that this is not a game to remember. But Dak Prescott, 23 for 37, 206, 206 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Brock Purdy goes 19 for 29 with 214 yards. Interesting note. Brock Purdy is the 4th quarterback drafted in the 6th round or greater and reached a conference title in the first season playing. He follows Dieter Brock, Kurt Warner in 99, and Tom Brady in 01. And man, we're praising Brock Purdy and what he's capable of doing. He didn't do nothing fantastic on Sunday night's game. 19 for 29, 214 yards, no touchdowns. It was Elijah Mitchell who went 14 carries, 51 yards, so the running game wasn't there. Christian McCaffrey had 10 carries with 35 yards. George Kittle went 5 carries, 95 yards. Deebo Samuel, 4 carries, 45 yards. So it wasn't necessarily a great game with the 49ers. They didn't have their best foot forward. And you thought maybe having this rematch from last year and the crappy way the game ended last year, you start worrying about, all right, maybe Dak Prescott comes back in and has a game to remember, and he sure doesn't. All right. This is yet another year that the Cowboys fail to advance to get the team over into the Super Bowl, position. I think, Dallas fails. And I think, as we could talk about San Francisco and their accomplishments, there's a lot of questions about Dallas's future. Do they still stick with Dak Prescott? See, here's a question. Here is my statement. It's one thing to get your team to the postseason. It's another thing to get them across that postseason marker to get to the Super Bowl. And Dak Prescott is one of those guys, especially with 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's just so inconsistent. He has breakout moments, but every breakout moment he has, he finds a way to come back and give you a reason why not to root for him. That's because all the interceptions he throws. As long as Jerry Jones is at the, front and center of this Cowboys team, he's going to do what he wants to do. But I really consider this is an opportunity. Cooper Rush was really good. Why is there a reason why we won't give him another chance at the quarterback position? Is there a reason why, it sucks because you don't want to see your starting quarterback that you paid millions of dollars to and you invested as your franchise quarterback. You don't want to see him fail. You don't want to see, it's kind of a slap in the face when he does fail. Okay. But how much longer can you sit here and say, all right, we made it to the postseason through a wild card slot, and we still failed. I'm wondering just how much longer can the Cowboys fans hold up on Dak Prescott? Is it time for Dak Prescott to say goodbye, to move on? Maybe, throwing out some quarter. I'm just gonna put a pin needle in this. Dallas Cowboys, if, listen, I highly doubt it, but if Dak Prescott, they decide to make a change, Derek Carr may be another opportunity in there. I don't know. What I do know is that this is another year, another failure to the Cowboys organization, a game where they probably should have beaten the 49ers. But I think it was just a sloppy game overall. And now we will see the 49ers take on the Eagles in the NFC Championship game this Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. The number 1 seed taking on number 2 seed, and we will see Brock Purdy taking on Jalen Hurts. You have the number 1 defense taking on a dominant Eagles team, and I think this is going to be a very, very tight matchup. And listen, Brock Purdy, is he going to have when does his lapse come? Did we see that against the Cowboys with his not so great performance, or we'll see Mr. Irrelevant fall against the Eagles this Sunday? All right, still to come. I want to come back and get you the Bengals and Bills highlights and talk about the AFC divisional games coming up here. Stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. You guys are listening to The Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Most dynamic system in the National Football League.
Third snap and a first down as Burrow steps up and throws it complete to Tyler Boyd. And just like that, Cincinnati finds its side on the other side of the 50. 2nd and 3. Burrow facing pressure, goes over the top, wide open is Chase, and he splits the defenders for the touchdown.
Run the football and still have the ability to move around the pocket.
2nd and 6. Oh, what a big opening for Mixon. And he gets all the way to the 50. Adeniji, the right tackle, who's in for Collins as of a couple of weeks ago.
The footing on the field isn't allowing it.
2nd and 5. They feed it to Mixon, and he's tackled behind the line this time. It's Milano at 2 sacks and 2 tackles for a loss last week. He's got one right there, loss of 2. Thought that was going to be so essential to his team's hopes. 3rd and 7. To the end zone. Open! Wide open! Hurst hauls it in for another Cincinnati touchdown.
All of these things. Chase is a decoy on a screen, and Hurst is wide open. Matt Milano maybe right there, 58.
They rush only 3. They've got pressure on him. Burrow is sacked. It's Milano. He was actually... There's Allen in trouble, and he's going to be sacked by Von Bell, who comes up from his safety position. Start the second quarter. The 2nd and 13 after they just sacked Allen, the last play of the first. Fires it in there for a first down, their first of the game. That's Diggs with the reception. Little shoulder fake, goes to the right side to an open Shakir. And he's shoved out by Bates. Shakir, who came up last week.
3rd and 1 from a goal line last week for any of these teams.
Oh, I wonder.
Cincinnati did good last time.
There's the touchdown as he goes off left guard and has a few words to say to Jesse Bates.
You want a rivalry? People had started to develop that right away about the Bills and the Chiefs the next decade over and over again. These games are huge. That's why the emotion of this is game day, Joe, though. That's the different one. This is game day, Joe.
On first down, that's Mixon. And they're running the ball effectively. That one for 12. We got an injury update from Tracy. Against Tennessee and Kansas City that sent them to the Super Bowl. This from 28. McPherson's kick is good.
Giving you the extra 2.
Maybe you got a sneak preview or something later on. I don't know, but it's 5 in a row, which is a Bills team record. Look at that catch. Oh, my goodness. There's your big game Gabe coming up with a big catch.
They're for real. Lou Anarumo, I'm so impressed with what they've done. I'm a believer.
Callahan as well. And this is going to be Burrow taken off again. They don't have a timeout. And that probably...
Block it quickly. You got to get back as fast as you can. Try and get it with 5 or 4.
And to 3. Makes it a 17-10 game. Here's a 3rd and 10. Had plenty of time. And Hurst leaps for the first down. Woo. What a play by Hayden Hurst. He went right over Jaquan Johnson, who had come in for Marlowe.
This is just an incredible play. This is a great view right here. Burrow keeping his eyes downfield, and then Hurst showing off that athleticism for such a big guy, jumping over Johnson. It's what happened to Mike McDaniel last week. He heard that it was a first down and had to go back to the 4th and 1 late, and they lost it on a delay game.
Toss it outside the Mixon. He's got it now, and he's inside the 10 and down to the 5. That was some block by Jackson Carp. Going to give it up, hand it off. Mixon. Still waiting for a signal. No arms are raised.
And I think it's the correct call because right here, this is the view. You see that knee down? Trust this. It's pretty close right here.
It's from 20. That's all it is. And that kick is good. Drove it right home.
Buffalo's down 17. He's got to turn into Superman.
Well, you look for another option. And there's a start as that's a catch made down the field by Dawson Knox.
I think Dallas can win this game, and I think they can win the Super Bowl. I also think San Francisco's as tough to play as anywhere else in the National Football League on the road in the playoffs. You see, once again, just the effort Cincinnati's doing. I think that he's not going to be near as athletic. However, Mahomes on athletic is the best pocket passer in the NFL probably. It's him and Burrow then.
There's an interception. First of the game for Cincinnati. And this has been a great performance by the rookie. I mean, Taylor Britt's done it all. And now he gets to say he has a postseason pick.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow have been the class for a while in the AFC. They're still there. It's going to take a lot to catch up with them.
You saw Allen go over to Wilson, his little comrade from Wyoming.
Alrighty, well, that was the highlights of the Bengals and Bills game. After the Bengals went on and beating the Bills in Buffalo in the snow, 27-10 final score. And man, you know, there was plenty to worry about in going into Buffalo. All right, we got to remember that. Let's go ahead and say that this was the first game that first time these two guys meet in play, because they were supposed to meet a couple weeks ago in week 17. But, you know, with the DeMar Hamlin situation, unfortunately, it got postponed, and we didn't really get a chance to see a full idea of who was the better person. So we get a chance to see that yesterday, and boy, I tell you, it didn't disappoint. Going into the game, okay, not only the first time that they met was a crucial moment, it was also there was also worries about how the Bengals were going to react in with the offensive line, knowing the struggles that they had against the Ravens and the ending of the season, and then also finding out that, hey, it's going to be snowing this entire time. I think whenever you deal with a game with snow, you really just the stakes are just that much higher. We already knew coming into this game that Kansas City won, and we'll talk about that game here in just a moment. But listen, you talk about how good Joe Burrow is. 23 for 36, 42 yards, 2 touchdowns. He made it look like a piece of cake, like a walk through the park when it comes down to just playing in the snow, playing in the in just the weather and under the conditions. This is probably one of the most completed teams that this franchise has had since the beginning of the season. Mixon, 20 carries, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Jamar Chase, 5 carries, 61 yards, a touchdown. Hayden Hurst kind of distributing the ball all over the place. 5 carries, receptions, 59 yards, 1 touchdown. The Bengals just came in and they dominated. 33 minutes, 54 seconds for the ball possession. 31st down, 6 for 10, about 60% on third down. 412 total yards, 172 rushing, 240 passing. Penalties were very limited. Two penalties under 9 yards. And then the red zone was 2 for 4. Defense was also lights out. They stopped the Bills. 1 for 3 in the red zone over there. Bills just had that much more struggle. You think of a team who's probably more likely capable of playing in that weather, in those weather conditions. 8 penalties for 60 yards. And Josh Allen, 25 for 42, not even 50%. 265 yards, 1 interception. It didn't look good for Josh Allen. And so I want to just ask this for guys like Dak Prescott, for guys like Josh Allen. Really? I think the big question that I get concerned behind is, they're in the playoffs year in and year out, and you see the same thing over and over and over again. They get to a certain level, and then they just can't get over that hump. For Josh Allen, it's been Patrick Mahomes for a long time, and now now it's Joe Burrow who stepped in this way. And so I guess my question is how long do you allow a team to, or a quarterback to continue, its performance? Because Josh Allen is one of the top elite quarterbacks in the AFC, in general. He's always up there. He's always talking, they're always talking about how he's the best. So my thing is when you compare Josh Allen to Patrick Mahomes, yes, he's bringing on a substantial amount of credibility. Then you also bring it to, I'm trying to find the right words, you guys. I apologize on a Monday, just not the greatest time. All right, so I just get worried for you guys, okay? I get worried because Josh Allen has faced Patrick Mahomes time and time and time again, and it's always been Patrick Mahomes on top. Now we see the first meeting between Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow has gotten ahead of him and beaten him. Okay, Josh Allen has also played Tom Brady and beaten, and Tom Brady's has overcome them. So, we're talking about this. I'm not decrediting what Josh Allen's able to do. I'm not decrediting the talent of the Bills. But when you just can't get over that hump, can't get past that, that next level, just like Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. I guess there are some times where you now have to worry. Now, listen, I give you, 2-3 years now, and you're still falling behind. And so I think this now you kind of have to relook at your, reevaluate everything that's going on, and kind of just take a look in the mirror for a moment. But great performance by the Bengals. Take the moment. They know what it's like. Hey, you won the game, great. And now it's time to do business against Kansas City. I don't want Cincinnati to get too big for their bridges. Here, yes, they've beaten Cincinnati several times, consecutively, but this is still Patrick Mahomes, and this is still the Kansas City Chiefs, who have gone now to 5 consecutive game conference games as they beat the Jaguars 27-20 on Saturday. Patrick Mahomes, the first quarterback to lead the team to 5 straight conference title games before the age of 30. The Chiefs become the 3rd team with 5 straight conference titles as well, compared to the 1970s Oakland Raiders and 11 through the 2011 through 2018 New England Patriots. Andy Reid joins Bill Belichick with 31 and Tom Landry with 20 postseason wins. Listen, when it comes down to this game here, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, Jaguars taking on Kansas City Chiefs, we knew heading into this game that it was just going to be, it's the veterans versus rookies. And, maybe Jacksonville didn't belong, in the divisional game, but what they surpassed. And I think this was the first real look that Jacksonville had to look at dealing with a playoff contending team, because let's face it, no matter how good the Chargers are, they always find some way to fail. So, listen, Lawrence, 24-39, not too bad. 217 yards with 1 touchdown, an interception. I kind of can figure that. Patrick Mahomes, lights out, 22 for 30, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yes, Patrick Mahomes sprained his ankle, but you get out to that early lead and you're unstoppable, especially when you have a defense. And that was the question going into this game, was could Kansas City's defense keep up with their offense? And they did. Travis Kelce, 14 receptions, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns, lights out. Juju Smith-Schuster, not really too big in this game, but you know what? Kansas City still has, they still have people, if you don't get them this game, you get them next game. Okay. Isaiah Pacheco, 12 reception, 12 carries with 95 yards there. I mean, overall, Kansas City just looked like that much better of a team. They dominated in possessions, but you know what? I think the more important thing is, although we knew, and we could have said that, hey, Kansas City was going to win this game. Here's what I liked about that. It was, for me, I saw of it for Jacksonville's opportunity. All right, here's a real team. Here's they've been in the postseason for consecutive years. This is a team ultimately that you're going to have to beat if you're going to want to be considered at the top elite. And for Trevor Lawrence, this is a great opportunity. They matched each other not too bad. All right, 20 first downs for Jacksonville, 23 for Kansas City. 7 for 13 on on third down conversions, about 6 for 12 for Kansas City. 349 to 362 in total yards. 2 turnovers for Jacksonville. Red zone were 2 for 3 for 3 for 3. So it was the little mistakes that Jacksonville, being inexperienced in the playoffs, can really elevate to, for the reason why they lost the game. It was Trevor Lawrence's 1 interception. It was the fumble recovery that Kansas City made. It was the extra third down conversions. If Jacksonville had the football just a little bit longer, giving them a little bit more time. But you know what? This is all part of that elaborate scheme. This is all part of that plan. And for me, it's a learning curve for Jacksonville. This is like, listen, we haven't been back to the postseason since 2018. This team has clearly re-imaged aligning under Trevor Lawrence. You have a young quarterback in Lawrence who is still trying to find his way, and no one expected Jacksonville to make it this far. This is a way you could take this information back, hold it up tight, say, hey, Yes, we lost, but we made it to Kansas City, and we made it a fighting one, because I thought this game was going to kind of be a blowout, and it turned out to be the Giants and the Eagles game to be a blowout. So our AFC, NFC conference games, conference championship games are set. We have the 49ers taking on the Eagles at 3 p.m. On Sunday. And then heading over to Sunday night, we have the Bengals taking on the Kansas City Chiefs again. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as time presumes. All right. Hour number 1's completed. Let's come back and let's talk some sports with you guys. Hour number 2 here on the Throw-In continues. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening to the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Hour number 2 on the Throw-In here is presented by Spreaker. Download us. Take us on the road wherever you guys go, where you guys are at work, in the office, driving on the road. Listen to every episode of the Throw-In. Thanks to Spreaker, you guys can download us and listen to the Throw-In on Spreaker, iPod, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and much more. Anywhere you get your audio platforms, podcast, we are on there. Thank you, Spreaker, for being our #1 audio platform resources. I'd also like to give a shout out to Epidemic Sound, discover world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give it the social media accounts and music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com today. Today's music's coming back from break is given by Epidemic Sound. Extra Fries by the Fly Guy 5 is currently playing right now. I like it. They have kind of a little bit of everything here, so I'm going to enjoy it. All right, local, let's take a look around the world of sports in Cincinnati, because not just the Bengals won their game over the weekend. There's a lot more to be said and done. Kicking things off in the ECHL League in hockey, Cincinnati Cyclones 21-8-4 on the season. They picked up a loss back on Friday on the road against the Fuels. They got shut out 6-0. They came back on Sunday against the Wings, and they won their game 6-2. Zach Andrusiak and Lincoln Griffin both put up goals in that game. The next game where they'll play is on Wednesday night. Wednesday against Newfoundland Growlers. Puck drops at home at the Heritage Bank Arena, 7:30 p.m. The Newfoundland Growlers are 27-10-1-0, first place in the North, as the Cyclones are sitting at third place in the Central. So check out the games. Tickets still available. $2 beer night. Always a blast to head out to. Cincinnati Bearcats in men's basketball. 14-7 on the season so far, 5-3 in conference play in the ACC. They took on Memphis yesterday, losing 75-68. Victor Lakin, career high 22 points. Landers Nolly, 11th straight double-digit game with putting up 18 points. And last night in yesterday's loss, their next game will be actually this weekend, I believe, Saturday against Houston, #1 Houston, who just lost to Temple yesterday. They'll be the tip-off will be at 2:15 p.m. They'll be on the road. Xavier Musketeers in the Big East there, 16-4 on the season, 8-1 in conference, looking pretty well. They picked up the victory back on Saturday against Georgetown, 95-82. Zach Fremantle, 30 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. Kobe Jones, 20 points as well in the contribution to the victory on Saturday. Their next game will be on Wednesday against UConn at UConn. The tip-off is at 6:30 p.m. And then last but not least, Kentucky Wildcats, 13 for 6 on the year, 4-3 in conference. They're on a nice little 3-game winning streak after beating Texas A&M 76-67 back on Saturday. Antonio Rivas 23 points, Jacob Toppin 17 points in their victory on Saturday. Next game will be on Tuesday against Vanderbilt at 9 p.m. Local Around Sports here as well. You know, it's good to feel good to have the Bengals winning, to have you know, we had a couple losses, but Xavier, Kentucky, Cincinnati split the weekend 1-1, and then the Bengals come off with the victory, and you just got to feel good to be in the Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, talking about sports, breathing sports, having some good teams here. It's been a while. They've always fluctuate, but you know, what's not so good is that we have the Cincinnati Reds, who are going to be reporting to spring training in about less than a month. And you know, listen, spring training games begin in about a month. And I mean, you know, everyone is so comfortable with with how the team is, you know, everyone is satisfied with where the team is at right now. And I'm just one that is just not there. You know, I'm just not agreeing, saying, hey, listen, this is how the team's going to be. And I can't be acceptive of that because there's still plenty of holes that can be filled. And I think there's still a free agent market out there that can help this team progress. You know, you kind of look around, and right now, this year, Hunter Green, who is only what, 23 years old, right? Born 1999, so he'd be 24 this year. He's your top guy, and he just got brought up to the big leagues like a year ago. Nick Lodolu's another guy, Graham Ashcraft, Justin Dunn, Luis Sessa, Connor Overton, Luke Weaver. I'm not necessarily bidding on each and anyone. Maybe Luke Weaver, if at any. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that the Reds in that rotation need a guy like Hunter Green to continue developing. Nick Lodolu, Graham Ashcraft, I don't think is a bad stoppage for a 3 and 4 spot. Luis Sessa for me fits in the back end of the rotation, but you really do need a couple more veterans to kind of help your guys out, because injuries, a lot of these guys are still on inning counts, and a lot of these guys are going to rely on exactly what exactly some of these veterans need. Right? There's a reason why veterans join a team that way. You know, in that case, they can share their knowledge and wealth to these young kids to help them mature into the big leagues. I'm not too satisfied or thrilled about the bullpen. You could always use some more hands, but we'll have to just wait and see what they have. Catchers, all right, I think they're really stacked. Tyler Stevenson, if he stays healthy. Kirk Casale, nothing too big coming off the bats, but I can see him defensive-wise. Austin Romine, another big catcher. So, you kind of thinking that, all right, we have a couple big names. You're going to keep these 3 guys up there, using one for the designated hitter. I know Tyler could play a little bit of first base and maybe third base out there, but there's really nothing too impressive. You got Joey Votto, Jonathan India, Spencer Steer. I can say you could go out there and pick up a third baseman, but I digress if they'll actually do anything. Jose Barrero, Kevin Newman, okay, Jake Fraley, definitely love to pick up another outfielder. Nick Senzel's out there, Will Myers. Okay. The big talk of this offseason was Ellie Dela Cruz being one of the top prospects for the Regs organization. And I guess I digress when I say this, but like in all realistic, all seriousness, I mean, come on. He's still years away, and there's no guarantee that he is going to be anyone special to do anything. So I guess, I mean, I'm a little concerned for, the talk of the Reds organization right now is about the younger guys. It's about the minor league. And my problem with all of that is that while we sit here and we work on minor leagues players, they don't guarantee us for the regular season, right? They don't guarantee us, or they don't necessarily give us a better position in 2023 to move our way up the ladder. While we see guys in Chicago like Eric Hosmer get picked up, Wilson Contreras heads on over to St. Louis. While other teams make improvement to their major league roster now so that they can compete in October, we're trying to make improvements to our roster in the minor leagues in hope or pray that in the next 3 to 5 years we can be playing in October. And it definitely doesn't help when your ownership comes out. And, last year I was listening to the Lock-In podcast strictly for Cincinnati. And, especially when last year, Phil the Castellinis made statements to kind of put salt in the wound about us losing against just the general fan base, the fans that go out and buy tickets and maybe spend, go out to 1, 2, 3 games. But then a couple weeks ago, they had this, Rosie's luncheon, those deep diehard people who spend a lot of money to keep the organization where it's at. And Phil Castellini puts on a presentation on how they are to lose and how they're already counted out of the postseason before the season even started. And when it's already bad enough to deal with, hey, we just don't have that great team right now. We're dealing with some issues we need to figure out in the front office. But then to come out as the ownership and say, hey, you know what? As of today, we're not even at, pitchers and catchers haven't even reported, and we're going to be a crappy team. Saying that there are a handful of teams that already are counted out of the playoffs before the season even begins. And apparently the Cincinnati Reds are one of them. So I'm a little upset with how this season's already starting. And you think you can't get any worse. It just keeps on growing between the front office and the fan base. And it's hard because you see such a rich history with Cincinnati and with the Reds. And now it's going to, I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing it affecting the regular, the actual in-depth fan base, the guys who spend season tickets on these Reds to go out and they donate a whole bunch of money. They're not going to go out there and be able to, they're not going to want to buy tickets no more. I mean, I didn't go to a singles Reds game last year. Not, I had a little bit of money issues. Why do you want to go to the game when the ownership doesn't really care, says, hey, you're going to come to the game whether you like it or not. He doesn't care about putting great product on the field. And so, like I mentioned, it's great talking about a lot of these minor leaguers. It's great to try to figure out, all right, this is where we're headed to. But to see how close we've gone to the postseason the last couple of years, to see what other teams are doing to make that extra stand to try to get back there this year, and see the Reds absolutely go 180 and come complete backwards. It's a tough pill to swallow. And when you see all these other, sports teams around here in the local area that are doing much better than what we are, and they're winning, it kind of, for me, it's encouraging. It's like, all right, let's see what the Reds are going to do. Let's see. Hopefully the Reds could come here and put up, be surprising. They played 500 baseball for the majority part of last season. Can you still do that? I guess is my concern. And it's kind of hard to say, yes, I can, when your ownership is telling you, no, you can't. And so, I can see we're going to start sitting here and start pinpointing, listen, free agents are winding down, but there's going to be a few people. I'm worried that the Reds are just going to be satisfied where they're at and how they are going to head into the season. And also the amount of injuries that are going to acquire. Joey Votto is not an everyday player. Tyler Stevenson, he took a big hit last year and he was a huge contribution to the success for the Reds. And if they're going to use him, they want him, he's going to be a key asset to being in that everyday lineup, that if we're going to keep him in there, we're going to have to put him as designated hitter or play first base and give Votto that rest. I know Will Myers is a good first baseman and going to even play third if he needs to, but that's going to require some rest and, other outfielders. So there is a lot of work that I still think needs to be done, and the Reds are lacking of trying to get that work completed before spring training hits. So we'll keep an eye on that as that comes. Let's step aside. I want to jump into WWE. Monday Night Raw celebrates 30-year anniversary, man, and we start taking a little sneak peek of what to expect at the Royal Rumble. Stay tuned, taking you up until 8 o'clock here on the Throw-In, available on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty. Things always start very slow in the mornings, Monday mornings, beginning of the week, coming off the weekend. And a lot of things are kind of unraveling, the news coming out of the weekend, trying to catch up. And, it starts off slow, starts off maybe drilling, and then kind of starts picking up like it has in this morning's program. Welcome back to the Throw-In on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. We'll be talking about some Raw 30 as that premieres tonight. A couple of things heading into tonight's Raw, and a couple of things I want to mention beforehand. Last night, Kyuji Muto, aka Great Muta, has wrestled his final match for Noah's event in Yokohama, Japan. He teamed up with Sting and Darby Allin to go on and defeating Akira Hakushi and Naomichi Maofiji. If I pronounce those names incorrectly, I apologize. The Great Kabuki, Muta's storyline's father in WCW, appeared last night. Muta's final match will be on February 21st against Tetsuya Naito. It's been promoting for the last couple of months. Been put down, and great to be talking about it. So as that unravels, we'll talk a little bit more about that. All right. So here's the deal. This is where I kind of want to take this round to. Royal Rumble is this weekend, and we're already here. And I'm going to kind of steer you in a couple of different directions. I talked a little bit last week about possible storylines that need to be put into place for this year's WrestleMania. Don't forget, it's going to be at Hollywood. WrestleMania is going to be 2 nights, both Saturday and Sunday. And there's a couple of speculations, a couple of big things that can transpire. But before we could get to WrestleMania, we got to get past Elimination Chamber that will be in March. And then we got to get past, or in February, then we got to get past the Royal Rumble, which is this Saturday. And we don't know any matches other than coming up this Saturday. We will have a man and woman Royal Rumble winner that will, for the women's side, get a chance to elect either the Raw or SmackDown Women's Championship to face at WrestleMania. That means, as of right now, you have Charlotte Flair as SmackDown Women's Wrestling or SmackDown Women's Championship champion. And then you also have, and I apologize because this is just it kind of just brain farts me. Then you also have Bianca Belair, who is Raw Women's Champion. But on the male side of things, you have the WWE. It still props up that the WWE champion and the Universal champion Roman Reigns, will probably face the winner of the Royal Rumble for the men's side of things. Now, what do we know heading into the Royal Rumble? Well, what we do know is that Roman Reigns will be facing Kevin Owens for the title, and this is a reopened storyline that has taken place for the past couple of years. I don't know how well that you're interested or my interest level for this match doesn't really please me unless you honestly see Kevin Owens finding a way to pick up a victory over Roman Reigns. I just don't see the WWE dropping that title to Kevin Owens. My question coming out of this, my thing is that I think is more beyond the Royal Rumble. So let me start off by saying this. I don't see Kevin Owens winning the undisputed championships, unified championships. So Roman Reigns is walking out as at least as champion until at least maybe Elimination Chamber. The other one thing that we do know is that there is a story, the bloodline is starting to slowly steer the pot. Sami Zayn will be held a court, I guess will be facing a court of the bloodline, and the tribal chief of Roman Reigns will be kind of determining his fate moving forward. And we'll talk about that a little bit. We also know that Cody Rhodes is returning for WrestleMania for the Royal Rumble match. There is rumors about Edge returning for the Royal Rumble match. There's also rumors about Randy Orton could potentially return to the Royal Rumble match. So that's all fine and dandy. There are rumors. People are still going to sit on and speculate the rumors that The Rock will return at the Royal Rumble and win the Royal Rumble to face Roman Reigns, even though The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has said that there's just not enough time for him to get into WrestleMania shape. The thing is that until we see it happen, it's hard to believe it is going to happen between The Rock and Roman. I know we've talked about it for years, for at least over a year. And I think that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen now, not later, because WrestleMania is in Hollywood, and then two, this story can only go on for so long. Okay, I don't know if that calls a one match story, a 2-match story, or even a 3-match story. But these two men are going to get, grow even more. They're only getting older, and as the older they get, the less of the possibility that these two guys can go toe to toe in the ring will be more unlikely. So there's a chance, as a fan, I would love to see Roman and The Rock do a battle at WrestleMania. I would love to see maybe The Rock put Roman in his place, and then maybe Roman comes back, in a couple months after taking a break to face, to recapture his bloodline, whatever the story unfolds. My thing is that this match, if it is to happen, does not need Roman Reigns with that title, which means The Rock or Dwayne Johnson does not need to be in the Royal Rumble for this. The other thing is that this match can happen on night 2, and the winner of the Royal Rumble can defeat Roman Reigns on night 1, but then you worry about the possibility of injuries of night 1, and I just feel like then there's automatically an advantage to The Rock on night 2, but then maybe this is where you would just have the one match and done, where Roman beats The Rock, and that's all said and done. I personally feel that this time around, going into WrestleMania, that there needs to be a different approach to this unified title, whether they split this up or whether they just change hands, because there's a whole talented roster right now that has not gotten an opportunity, that probably relies on getting the opportunities to get after this title, that because Roman Reigns has it, it's not going to happen. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate everything that Roman Reigns has done in this 3-year span with this title. He has embarked his legacy in this title. But one, I've told you, The Rock and Roman is beyond this title. This title is irrelevant to this storyline at this point, and it's just an image for him. 2, I think it creates other storylines for this year's WrestleMania if you could either merge that title that Roman has into one and bring a new prestigious title out. So there's a couple of things that go back around to how WrestleMania now, back to the Royal Rumble, because who could be right now? We are thinking that Roman Reigns will have a match, whoever the men's Royal Rumble opponent will be. Well, that is the question. Who could it be? Could it, do you see Drew McIntyre? Do you see Goldberg? Do you see, again, I guess, Brock Lesnar again? Do you see John Cena? Because John Cena is, I'm just throwing it out there. He's one title away from breaking Ric Flair's WWE championship, 16-time championship reign. We can see that be broken at WrestleMania. It's in Hollywood, so anything could happen. Maybe, and this is just a big what if, that John Cena and Roman Reigns main events this WrestleMania in Hollywood, and then The Rock interferes at some point leading up to a SummerSlam match or a WrestleMania next year. I'm just spitballing. I think it's a little too early to see Cody Rhodes capture the title off of Roman Reigns because of his existing feud with Seth Rollins. If Cody Rhodes is going to capture that title, it has to be, for me, it only makes sense that it's off of Seth Rollins. So we've seen Seth Rollins face Roman Reigns. Does Seth Rollins go on and win the Rumble and take the title off of Roman Reigns? He has been the Beast Slayer. Can he be the Tribal Chief Slayer also? What we do know is that, whoever is going to win is going to face Roman Reigns, at least as right now, because something could change where, all right, this person becomes the number one contender for a new title, and then another number one contender kind of earns their way into a title slot to face whoever wins at WrestleMania for a new title that's going to be presented. There's rumors about that. For the women's side, we have absolutely no idea who could possibly be running away with facing either Bianca Belair or between Charlotte Flair. Now, one thing I would say I would be disappointed from Ronda Rousey's match, title reign, was that we did not see a Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey. I would love to see that. I would love to see Ronda versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. I would love to see, um, right now, I guess the only person on Raw that fits the bill will actually be seeing Alexa Bliss go on and defeat Bianca Belair, but I can't see that storyline wrapping for 3 years now. The other thing that the other thing that maybe transpires is that there's a lot of things that's going around in circles, like the Hurt Business potentially reuniting, which we'll talk about Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory for that United States Championship in a bit. As maybe one family's falling apart, another family's being reformed. My also big thing is what do you do with Dominic Mysterio? Here's my biggest pet peeve with Dominic Mysterio. I think it's a great thing for his career and for his self-image that he broke away from Rey Mysterio. I think that was what needed, and to go against him. And for the longest time, as much as we hear that Rey Mysterio refuses to fight Dominic, I still believe at the end of the day that's best for business. And as we conclude coming up to a WrestleMania in a few months, I think that the only way that this story can resolute, because they keep talking about it between Raw and SmackDown, is if Dominic goes on and face Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio says, "Hey, listen, you know what? I'm tired of this. If you want me to face you this damn bad, I'll face you at WrestleMania." Okay, I could see Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio finally doing battle. I think this is actually better for business. I will tell you one thing at WrestleMania that I think needs to also happen. One thing that I think, this whole, amigo, Latino vibe that Dominic has given, I get it, because it's worked away with bringing back Eddie Guerrero. I knew that at some point they would have loved to pay tribute, and this is what they're doing. I don't know how well it really fits, though, with Dominic Mysterio. So although it's working right now, it's still not getting him over for me. He's getting over, he's not a Finn Balor over. He's not he's getting over, he's getting recognized, he's doing his own thing and people are enjoying it, but he's really still not sustaining himself. He doesn't have his own image. And what I mean by that is that he's having to copycat, or he's having to relate his image off of previous athletes like Eddie Guerrero. He kind of looks like LAX, a member of the LAX organization there. And I just think he needs to image himself. And he's always going to get compared to Eddie. He's always going to get compared to Ray. But he needs to really image himself. And he's reliant on everything that has worked in the past between these luchadors, that he's not able to take time for himself. So I think this character is only going to go on for so long. And also, before we get to break, I do want to just throw this possibility out there, because there's rumors about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn teaming up to face the Usos at WrestleMania, and that's a possibility. Also, another thing I would like to see is that I heard that Edge and Finn Balor was set to do a Hell in a Cell match at the Royal Rumble, which I think could be a great match. Maybe this could be a match that probably a retirement match, maybe a TLC match, right? I see this match happening at WrestleMania, if at all. And you think of what could be next for Edge. Maybe you would love to see Randy Orton come back, team up with him once again. I don't know what direction. I think everything that comes moving forward has to be very critical. I don't know when he wants to retire and how he wants to retire, but I will love, honestly, to see Edge and Randy Orton tag team titles again. But the problem is that you can't rely on them to stay healthy enough for a long period of time to put the tag team titles on them. But I would love to see Edge and Finn Balor inside of Hell in a Cell at this year's WrestleMania. All right. We'll talk a little bit more throughout the week about the Royal Rumble, because there's possibility when you talk about the Rumble, you got to talk about WrestleMania, and just those two go together as much. Let's take a break and let's come back. Raw 30-year anniversary comes up tonight. You're going to see a lot of great returns. And compared to the 25th, year anniversary, and re-electing just everything that has happened on Raw over the last 30 years. As we get ready for tonight, we will finish off our show on that. Don't go nowhere. Stay tuned. The throw-in continues here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Sometimes we act like a fool, not aware we're troublemakers. Sometimes we try to be cool, not being givers, only takers. Stop for a minute, stop and breathe for a minute. Don't get over your head.
We will like to talk about and promote a very good friend of ours on the program. We've been back and forth on our programs before, and that's going to be Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. Join Steve Barber and Dwayne Davis as they break down news and highlights of professional wrestling. The Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast is a weekly wrestling podcast founded on YouTube and all audio streaming platforms. Go check out and follow the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast today. Okay. When I say that, there we go. They've been doing a series called Why We Are Fans. The latest one was about 2 days ago. BC Hunter and Jay Myers from Wrestling with the Truth /War was the recent episodes that they had. Listen, they're a bunch of great guys, and I will tell you that Dwayne Davis, knowledgeable of wrestling, and it's great to pick their brains out in the wrestling world. So go check out Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast for more information. All right, Monday Night Raw is celebrating 30 years of wrestling of their program tonight, and it's supposed to be a nice big, party extravaganza. Before we could talk about WrestleMania or about WWE Raw 30, we have to talk about Raw 25. And I think that was a little bit of, I will say, joke in a sense, because, listen, they tried to have that special event on Raw in Brooklyn, one at the Barclays Center, one at actual that foyer that they had. I forgot the name of it, but anyways, it just didn't turn out to be the same, and I heard a lot of complaints about it and everything. And hopefully this year is going to be a little bit different, as WWE is trying to redo that again. That's going to be tonight. They're taking it back to old school. Expect to see things like, people like The Undertaker, Ric Flair, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan in this match. I mean, in tonight's show. Definitely legends. I kind of want to talk about the legends. Who could we possibly see? They didn't really give names. Jerry the King Lawler, Teddy Long, Ron Simmons, Kurt Angle, Road Dogg, X-Pac. So I think you have a nice fair share. And the for the fact that they're able to get all these guys, I think it's just fun. We're also going to see a couple of different things happen. For one, we're going to be tonight the United States Championship is up for grabs. Austin Theory will defend his title against Bobby Lashley. Lashley won it last week in a 6-man elimination match. But he didn't quite do that without a little bit of help. He didn't quite do that without the help of the Hurt Business. And or when I say the Hurt Business, I mean I'm talking about Omos and MVP, who got in the way to give Bobby Lashley that opportunity. Now, Austin Theory a year ago was giving that prized possession to kind of go off and become, a top star. He was given a lot of help, and he's had to come a long way. He's working with guys like Lashley, and he's working with guys like, Rollins to really elevate himself. And I think he's right now is at the top of his pedestal. And, he's kind of like that annoying teenager kid who you just can't get rid of. I mean, apologize for that. But nonetheless, we're going to see, I think, a interesting matchup. Now, last week, maybe a lot of people expected or anticipated a Cody Rhodes return, costing him the United States match opportunity. Maybe Seth Rollins would have won, causing this, title match to be Seth Rollins and Theory. But I'm okay with Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory in this match, just because I think that the Hurt Business did not get a good start last time. And they had a lot, by the time, Bobby Lashley found his own, it was, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin was already, losing their titles. So I'm excited to watch this match. You also have Becky Lynch and Bayley go one-on-one inside a steel cage match. There's a lot of rich history between these guys, these females, pardon me. And the most important thing is for this match is that Damage Control will not be able to get involved into this match, at least inside that ring. How often do you see females in steel cages? I think just to bring a spark, a reason why you need to watch that match as well. The Raw tag team titles will be up for grabs as the Usos will defend them against Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio. I don't know, you're going to have Finn Balor at one side and Solo Sikoa at the other side. So I don't know how much of that's going to be displayed. You know what? And we may very well see, depending where this match is placed on the match card, Sami Zayn at ringside. Because last but not least, I think, the big the big storyline coming out of tonight is that the tribal chief is to hold a tribal court for Sami Zayn on Raw. The question decisions of making has caused dissensions in the bloodline. A Wild Royal Rumble contract signing between Roman and Kevin Owens left the bloodline wiped out in the ring as Sami Zayn holding that contract. Ahead of the table, and the undisputed Universal Champion has decided to hold a tribal court to put Sami Zayn on trial for his recent actions. What will the final verdict be for the honorary Usos? And I think this is where things kind of just get a little bit more interesting because, I mean, come on. It's Sami Zayn. We knew that maybe this wasn't going to last a long time. There's also that idea that maybe that you can get Sami Zayn challenging Roman Reigns for that Universal Championship, right? I mean, it's a possibility. There's rumors that are going around, and like I said, they're just rumors until we actually see what happens. But one of the rumors is that Sami Zayn is going to challenge Roman Reigns for the undisputed title at Extreme Rules, or maybe Roman Reigns will give him that opportunity, and then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn finally team up to face against the Usos and beat the Usos. But like I said, until we see it, we will see it. I mean, last night's event really made SmackDown interesting and made this title match that much more interesting. By the way, Kevin Owens and Solo Sikoa will do battle on SmackDown heading into the Royal Rumble for the first time ever. So we have a lot to look into. We have a steel cage match. We got the, Sami Zayn's tribal court. We got the title match and a lot more. The other thing that we need to kind of, it's just, we're going to celebrate 30 years. And you think about that. And I was just thinking about that myself, that 30 years really is it's kind of my entire livelihood. I was 2 years old, or about to be 2, because I'll be 28 this April when Raw first started. And then you think about it, I personally didn't start watching wrestling until about the early 2000s, probably like 2003, 2004. I grew up on SmackDown, so I did lose a lot of Raw time, because Raw for me was a Monday night thing. It started at 9 because this was before where they adjusted the time change, for where they did live. They would have shows on the West Coast at 9, and then they would go on to have, or they would have it at 6, and then they wouldn't play until later. So we didn't get the Raw until later on at night, bedtime, curfew, trying to get to sleep, always trying to, try to wake up for it. So I missed a good amount of Raw unless I went to the actual event. So, unfortunately, I can't really reflect much back on Raw other than, I don't know. I've always seen SmackDown as the better product, in my opinion. That's my opinion. So, man, we're just getting off to a beginning of the week. It's been one hectic weekend. Only look to do more. We have, we're getting you guys ready for Royal Rumble. We're getting you guys ready for the Bengals and the Chiefs coming up this weekend as well. I mean, listen, we're just wrapping up having some fun. All right, so we'll come back tomorrow. We'll talk some sports. You guys ready for some football, as well as what happened tonight on Monday Night Raw. Thank you guys for tuning in, whether that is on YouTube, whether that is on any audio platforms. And we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. right here on the Throw-In. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are listening to the Throw-In, available by Justin. That's me on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. You guys take care. We'll see you guys tomorrow.